Sickos, E-drones, and Grifters Oh My! This is the language of the IWC while coping with wrestling takes they don't agree with. And chances are, you or somebody you hate has been cast in one of these roles based on their most viral opinion. Some are better than others. I'm obviously cast as an A-List AEW hater, and thank God. Much as I watch AEW and still support the product even through its decline, my anti-AEW brethren is way more hilarious, irreverent, charismatic, creative, and less, what's the word I'm looking for here? Victims in their basementey than the Sickos. Plus, anytime I'm in a distinctly different category than BJ Bethel and his entire sword collection, I'm good with that. Media bias is inescapable. People love calling out frauds and grifters, all while hiding behind a paywall of pretend journalism. The more time you spend trying to convince people that you're not human and don't have any inherent biases in wrestling, the more time you're wasting, like BJ Bethel on any dating app. Some biases are obvious, like, is Dave Meltzer pro AEW? Come on, is Ricochet a mid-card stooge? Does BJ Bethel sit down when he pees? Of course! Pro wrestling tribalism has drawn clear lines within the wrestling media, with many platforms skewing for or against WWE and AEW. Tony Khan stays giving away free media scrum passes to the bottom of the IWC like they're copper tickets to a chocolate factory. Booking a wrestling product for the hardcores has also helped Tony Al-Sheik curry favor with many a culturally clueless dirt sheet who never ever challenge him with intelligent questions. Instead, they just embarrass themselves anytime a mic is next to their mouth.
Aria from F4WOnline.com. A few years
From
ago,
what?
From F4WOnline.
What is that?
It's a wrestling news website.
The Wrestling Observer newsletter.
No, we don't entertain any questions from that nerd. Next question.
Today, we're going to look at which dirt sheets and news outlets have the biggest hard-ons for AEW and why. Subscribe in Swahili.
Miss Williams also hit my car. Let's not lose sight of the fact that she drove and hit my car, did not leave a note. It was a hit and run. So because I was illegally parked, does not give her immunity to do whatever she wants to me.
Now, wait a minute. Now you caught my attention. You're not disputing that you hit his car.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I did hit it. Yes.
Did you leave a note?
I did not leave a note. I didn't have time.
Dave Meltzer and F4W Online not only kicks off these tiers, they set the standard. Dave Meltzer has been writing run-on sentences for the Wrestling Observer newsletter for close to 127 years now. Between the text he types up in those marathon dirt sheets and his habitual hair dyeing, nobody uses more ink on this planet than L'Oreal Dave Meltzer. If Just for Men was made with oil reserves, Dave would have been invaded Saudi Arabia his damn self. I asked you, the grifting PWB subscriber, if Dave Meltzer was a good journalist, and 89% of you said no. Then I asked you, the bad faith PWB subscriber, if you care about Dave Meltzer's 5-star ratings, and 94% of you said hell no. Then I asked you, the hater PWB subscriber, who is the biggest AEW kiss ass? 73% of you said Big Dave. Sorry, Twitter Ricky, I thought you had a chance. My favorite comment read, quote, Dave doesn't just kiss the ass, he tosses a whole salad, end quote. And that brings us to these tiers right here. No, not sicko tiers, the tiers of all elite ass kissing. These tiers will be graded as 0 cheeks, which is unbiased, not gonna see a lot of those. 1 cheek, which is AEW leaning, but not above criticizing Tony Khan. 2 cheeks, which is blind loyalty to a secondary brand that pays them nothing. And the whole salad, glazing on glazing, spends 100,000 plus tweets defending AEW and takes Tony Khan's slander personally. Dave Meltzer sets the bar as the salad-tossing AEW sycophantic ass-kissing toady. Oops, sounds like somebody's phone is ringing.
In the long run, you end up back where you were, just with a lower price. So, anyway.
AEW books for an audience of 1. Unfortunately, that audience is interchangeable between Tony Khan and Dave Meltzer, who both love themselves some fake 5-star matches. I don't talk about this much, but Tony Khan used to be a junior correspondent for the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which is like hosting your dad's retirement party, but you both scare the hoes. AEW's niche audience scored its lowest overall viewership in its normal time slot for the October 29th broadcast. And if they keep catering to 5-star wrestling, their audience will be just like a 5-star rating. Imaginary. Then there's professional lol cows like BJ Bethel, who looks like the only profile pic that follows you to the comments. I don't know what or whom he's staring at here. I just hope she has pepper spray. BJ is a low-level amateur junior correspondent mostly known for fabricating AEW's HBO Max numbers. Since he's never done anything with his life before or since, this will be his legacy. As an internet wrestling punching bag who capes for Tony Khan so hard, he deserves permanent residence in the salad-tossing tier. Just look at it. You cannot tell me that thing doesn't sneeze into its hands and wipe it off on his khakis. BJ's pronouns are she, said, no. BJ's the type of guy who sits in the front seat of the Uber. He's that friend you muted on IG for spamming too many Minion memes. I'm just playing. BJ doesn't have any friends. BJ's social life is like Tommy's job, because BJ, you ain't got no friends. BJ the type of guy who claps after every song in the nightclub. BJ the type of guy to hold the door for a woman. Great gesture, but then tip his hat and say, "M'lady." BJ uses both of his hands to shake one of your hands. BJ Bethel has an embarrassing 77,000 tweets with only 3,300 followers to his name. That's a 22-to-1 tweet to follower ratio. If we were to do incel tiers, those numbers would put him right above Ray Birchfield Jr. Most of BJ's posts are retweets and political slop. Does the B in BJ stand for bot? His original tweets get no traction in any way, shape, or form whatsoever because he's not interesting and relies on the creativity of others for his piggybacking perspective. BJ's a habitual overtweeter and career underachiever. He's basically the Cincinnati Bengals of life. BJ's moment finally came when he lied about AEW's HBO Max numbers. Then he was laughed off the Bird app so fast he ran to the Sickos safe space known as Blue Sky. I ain't gonna hold you, but this is the type of useless subhuman that I wish AI would replace right now. Brandon Thurston and John Pollock are the faces and bald heads of post-wrestling. For a little background, Brandon Thurston writes for WrestleNomics, which was co-founded by Chris Harrington, who is now the senior vice president of AEW, which is like being in charge of giving out knives during a mass shooting. The AEW bias is built into WrestleNomics. Thurston is obsessed with the Janelle Grant case, even more than Janelle Grant. He was even banned from WWE press conferences for asking real questions about the case. So in a sense, he got the Alfred Kunawa treatment, similar to AEW banning me from their fake media scrums. Brandon's the type of guy who'd bring his own decibel counter to a wrestling show. No, that's not a roast joke. That actually happened. At Money in the Bank 2024, balding Brandon Thurston actually fact-checked a decibel meter at a wrestling show. I wish you did this much fact-checking when it came to All In's attendance. Heck, you even blew up a photo of the Pontiac Silverdome and started counting the people at WrestleMania 3. Thurston took this comment to heart because this year, he finally reported that AEW actually did report a fake number for All In, just like they did last year and the year before. That report included AEW's alleged attempts to get the city of Arlington to sign an NDA about the real attendance, but to no avail. This was a moment where a lot of clueless wrestling fans realized that every single wrestling promoter is a lying carny. And no, Tony Khan is not one of the good ones. Post Wrestling gets one cheek for having a clear AEW bias, but not enough to ignore negative AEW stories, especially after being called out in the comments, shouts to AEW neckbeards. Fightful is also obvious in its pro-AEW bias. In fact, a former host of one of Fightful's failing podcasts was so good at glazing Tony Khan, he got a job with AEW, thereby creating a template of stooges who are also qualified at fetching coffee for TK. Get it how you live. Whenever there's a negative story about AEW, Fightful is right there to spin it faster than a DJ with Parkinson's. Gee, I wonder where those exclusive reports came from. Fightful is a tier below Dave Meltzer, but they stay salad tossing for the sickos. Cultaholic gets a lot of heat for loving on AEW. Some people might even call them Golkaholic, talking about just like Nancy Reagan. Like most wrestling dirt sheets, I don't follow Cultaholic. If you've seen one all-white British dirt sheet, you've seen them all, bruv. In fact, let's just throw in Wrestle Talk and What Culture. It's all the same thing. They're all basically like the Spider-Man meme if all the Peter Parker clones had bad teeth. Last year, Golkaholic got so defensive during the backlash against AEW's shitty ring at Grand Slam Australia. They called anybody who complained about the ring a lonely wrestling fan. Both Cultaholic and Wrestle Talk spam Dave Meltzer slop, which is tantamount to playing the telephone game with a pathological liar. Hurricane Helms, who got off your blood
on socials, no.
Recently dunked on Cultaholic for aggregating a bullshit story about CM Punk from Brian Bonaparte. Cultaholic are absolute clowns. They constantly post things Meltzer and Alvarez come out with as if they have any truth to it or any substance to it. They've gone downhill ever since they've been posting all the crap Meltzer and Alvarez say. People used to take them seriously, but now people mock them and have a good laugh at Cultaholic. I did a deeper dive into Cultaholic's content, and after I finally woke up from all that boredom, I noticed that they don't really talk about AEW at all. Most of their content is top 10 lists and news stories, mostly about WWE with a negative slant. But I get the feeling that they're more anti-WWE than they are pro-AEW, so let's just give them one cheek. Same with What Culture. Wrestle Talk hosted that one podcast where MJF took a shot at yours truly, so they get bumped up to the 2-cheek tier. We'll be right back.
How did you know that she hit your car?
The neighborhood said that they had seen it, and I have video evidence, in fact, Your Honor, if I may.
Okay, do I need to see the video evidence?
You can see the video evidence. I'm not disputing that I hit the car.
Then I don't need to see the video evidence, right?
Okay. ESPN is an interesting one. WWE recently signed a $1 billion deal with ESPN to air premium live events. So the idea of ESPN being pro-AEW sounds counterintuitive. Well, kind of. Independent ESPN writer Andreas Hale infamously gave WWE's Wrestlepalooza a C. Honestly, I thought that was a fair grade. I gave that show a 7 out of 10, which is actually a C-. But in 2025, wrestling media isn't set up to be fair. And because this was published on ESPN, fresh off a $1 billion contract, the IWC went crazy. But the fact that this critical review was even published on ESPN suggests there's less media censorship in WWE than there is in AEW. Think about that for a second. And let's be clear, this was not ESPN giving WWE a C. It was one man's opinion. By the second WWE PLE, Crown Jewel, that same man gave the event a B. Whether a higher up in ESPN had a talk with that one man or not, who knows? But I wouldn't get used to a pattern of ESPN being constantly critical of WWE. This is the era of whitewashed analysis, and combat sports is the guiltiest offender, from Turkey Al-Sheikh to Tony Al-Sheikh. ESPN and Andreas Hale get 0 cheeks. If anything, WWE coverage on ESPN as a whole will have to be graded on how many WWE cheeks they're kissing, but that's a whole different video. TLDR, wrestle purists and Fightful reject Ibu are also in the salad tossing tier, but you already knew that. Ibu once got big leagued by Tony Khan, and after bragging about his lucrative offer with Fightful, they fired his black ass immediately for lying on Britt Baker.
I'm stepping down from my spot on the Raw post show because to me, it's the only thing that I should do. It's the right thing to do.
So they all get a seat at the salad tossing table, right above top AEW Sicko Drainmaker in the Tony Twitter Fingers prayer circle.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel has to come down in favor of the plaintiff. You break it, you buy it. $683.97, that is the order. Case closed.